The Pride of Kraxon emerged from hyperspace like a predator stalking its prey, its crystalline hull refracting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. High Commander Vexteri stood at the command center, all four of his eyes fixed on the main view screen as his vessel approached the unexplored sector of space. His career had been built on first contact scenarios, but this one promised to be special. "High Commander," his sensor chief called out, mandibles clicking with excitement. "We're detecting an artificial construct at bearing 347. Initial readings suggest primitive technology." Vexteri's facial ridges lifted in anticipation. The Kraxon Empire had risen to prominence through technological superiority, and discovering new species was their path to expanding their influence. "Show me," he commanded, his voice resonating through the bridge. The view screen shifted, revealing the sleek vessel hanging motionless against the backdrop of stars. Its design was unlike anything in their database: clean lines, minimal external equipment, and no visible weapons. To Vexteri's experienced eyes, it looked defenseless. "Analysis?" he questioned, already formulating plans for this encounter. His science officer, Zinra, consulted her instruments. "The vessel appears to be constructed primarily of materials common to early spacefaring races. No signs of quantum shielding, no temporal stabilizers, not even basic reality anchors. They're practically asking to be studied." Vexteri allowed himself a small gesture of satisfaction, a slight ripple through his ceremonial crest. "Prepare the full spectrum analyzer. Let's see what secrets this primitive vessel holds." "Sir," his second-in-command, Ralok, interjected. "Protocol suggests we should attempt communication first." "Protocol is for equals, Ralok." Vexteri dismissed the concern with a wave of his upper appendage. "These beings clearly need our guidance. Initiating our standard analysis is a mercy. It will show them just how far they have to go." The Pride of Kraxon's sensor arrays powered up, their crystalline matrices humming with energy as they prepared to penetrate every secret of the unknown vessel. Vexteri watched with practiced disinterest as the scan began. Nothing happened. "Report," he demanded, his crest flickering with irritation. Zinra's fingers danced across her console. "Sir, the scans, they're not penetrating. It's as if..." She paused, mandibles working in confusion. "It's as if they're being reflected, but that's impossible with their level of technology." "Increase power," Vexteri ordered. The Pride of Kraxon's engines thrummed as they diverted more energy to the sensors. Still nothing. "Sir," Ralok ventured carefully, "perhaps we should." A soft chime interrupted him. On every screen across the bridge, text appeared in perfect Kraxon script. "Scanning without permission is considered impolite in civilized space. This is your first warning." Vexteri's crest flared in outrage. "They dare. Maximum power to the sensors. I want every secret of that vessel laid bare." The Pride of Kraxon's sensors blazed with energy, pushing their crystalline matrices to their limits. For a brief moment, the unknown vessel seemed to shimmer, and then every screen on the bridge went dark. When they flickered back to life, new text appeared. "Second warning. Your scanning attempts are being logged. Please desist or face consequences." "Consequences." Vexteri laughed, the sound echoing through the bridge. From them, "Deploy the probe drones. Let's show these primitives what real technology looks like." Ralok stepped forward. "Sir, I must object. We're clearly dealing with capabilities we don't understand." "Launch the drones," Vexteri roared. A dozen sleek, crystalline drones emerged from the Pride of Kraxon, their advanced stealth systems making them virtually invisible to conventional sensors. They accelerated toward the unknown vessel, ready to perform the most detailed analysis in the Empire's history. They made it halfway. Without warning, without any visible energy discharge or weapon fire, the drones simply stopped. Then, one by one, they began to dance, performing an intricate ballet in space, spelling out words in Kraxon script. "Final warning. Your technology has been temporarily borrowed to demonstrate our point. Would you like to try diplomacy now?" The bridge fell silent. Vexteri stared at the display, his crest completely flat against his skull. Before he could respond, a new message appeared on their screens, this time accompanied by a strange symbol, a circular design with interconnected lines that seemed to pulse with purpose. "This has been an automated response from the United Earth Defense Network. Your species has been categorized as technologically advanced, diplomatically immature. A human representative will contact you shortly to discuss your application for membership in the Galactic Cooperative. Please stand by." Vexteri sank into his command chair, all four eyes fixed on the pulsing symbol. For the first time in his career, he realized that perhaps there was more to being advanced than having impressive technology. The fact that he hadn't known about a galactic cooperative, that no one in the Empire had known, suggested that the galaxy was a far more complex place than they had imagined. Relok cleared his throat. "Sir, should I prepare the diplomatic protocols?" "Yes," Vexteri whispered, still staring at the screen. "And Relok, add a note to my personal log. Sometimes, it seems, the greatest discovery is finding out how much we don't know." The waiting was the worst part. Vexteri had spent 3 standard cycles watching the human vessel, which hadn't moved an inch since their failed scanning attempt. His crew grew increasingly nervous as their borrowed drones continued their mocking dance in space, occasionally rearranging themselves to display different messages about diplomatic protocol. "Sir," Relok approached with a data tablet. "Engineering reports that all attempts to regain control of our drones have failed. It's as if they're operating on principles we don't understand." Vexteri's crest rippled with suppressed anger. "Impossible. They're our drones, our technology. These humans can't possibly." A new presence materialized on their bridge. The crew reacted instantly, weapons drawn and aimed at the holographic figure that now stood before them. A human female in what appeared to be a simple gray uniform. She smiled, and Vexteri felt an unsettling chill as he realized the hologram was making eye contact with every crew member simultaneously. "Greetings, High Commander Vexteri of the Kraxan Empire. I am Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Network. I apologize for the delay. We were completing your species assessment." Vexteri rose from his command chair, trying to maintain his dignity. How are you projecting this image?" "Our shields are at maximum power." The hologram's smile widened slightly. "Are they? Interesting. Would you like to test that assumption?" Before Vexteri could respond, every status display on the bridge changed, showing shield strength at 0, then full, then 0 again, then cycling through random percentages like a gambling machine. "Stop this at once," Vexteri demanded, his crest fully extended in threat display. "As you wish." The displays returned to normal. "Now shall we discuss your application to the Galactic Cooperative?" "We never applied to any cooperative," Vexteri growled. "On the contrary," Admiral Chen replied, producing a holographic document that expanded to fill the space between them. "By initiating an unauthorized scan of a member vessel, you triggered Article 7 of the First Contact Protocols. Your subsequent actions, deploying surveillance drones, attempting system intrusion, and refusing diplomatic communication, have provided us with a comprehensive assessment of your technological and cultural development." Relok stepped forward, his scientific curiosity overtaking his caution. "You're saying you used our own actions against us as an evaluation?" "Precisely. The galaxy is vast, Commander Relok. We found it more efficient to let developing civilizations reveal themselves rather than actively searching for them." Vexteri's mind raced. Their entire encounter had been a test, and they had played directly into the humans' hands. But something didn't add up. If you're so advanced, why let us detect you at all? Why appear primitive? Admiral Chen's hologram walked around the bridge, passing through solid objects as if they weren't there. Consider it a filter. Those who approach with wisdom and diplomacy are welcomed differently than those who lead with aggression and presumed superiority. A series of images appeared around her, dozens of alien species, some familiar from cracks in archaeological records, others completely unknown. Every species you see here went through the same process. Some, like the Zinthri, made first contact and immediately opened diplomatic channels. Others, like the Mavorians, tried to conquer what they thought was a primitive vessel. And what happened to them? Rullock asked. The Zinthri now lead our diplomatic corps. The Mavorians, she paused, are still trying to figure out why their entire defense network plays ancient human entertainment broadcasts every third Tuesday. Vexteri sank back into his command chair. So this is all some elaborate initiation ritual. A game. Life is a game, High Commander. The question is, are you playing to win or playing to learn? Admiral Chen's hologram gestured, and suddenly the space around the Pride of Kraxon was filled with ships. Hundreds of them, of various designs, all appearing from nowhere. Your empire prides itself on technological superiority, yet you never questioned why you found no other advanced civilizations in your expansion. Did you think you were the first, the best? The bridge crew stared in awe at the armada that had materialized around them. Ships that could have been there the entire time, invisible to their most advanced sensors. The Galactic Cooperative, Admiral Chen continued, exists to guide species past their adolescent phase of development. Some learn quickly, others require more. Dramatic demonstrations. Your next actions will determine which path the Kraxon Empire follows. Vexteri looked at his crew, seeing in their expressions the same realization he had reached. They weren't the advanced civilization coming to uplift primitives. They were the primitives who had just stumbled into a game being played at a level they hadn't known existed. What? He cleared his throat, his crest lowering in submission. What are our options, Admiral? Now that, Admiral Chen's hologram smiled, is the first wise question you've asked today. Shall we begin the real discussion? The Pride of Kraxon's command center had been transformed. Where once stood the epitome of Kraxon military might, now sat a delegation of thoroughly humbled officers watching Admiral Chen's hologram manipulate three-dimensional star charts in the air before them. Your territory, she highlighted a small cluster of systems in blue, represents approximately 0.03% of currently inhabited space. The cooperative maintains peaceful relations across roughly 60% of the galaxy. The map expanded, showing thousands of interconnected systems in various colors. Vexteri's crest twitched involuntarily. Impossible. Our long-range scans have never detected signs of such widespread civilization. High Commander, Relok interjected, studying the data scrolling across his terminal. These readings, they suggest the cooperative uses quantum-entangled communications. No signals to detect. Correct, Admiral Chen nodded. Though that's just one of our more primitive technologies. The casual way she dismissed what would be a revolutionary breakthrough for the Kraxon Empire sent a ripple of unease through the bridge. Vexteri felt his grip on reality slipping further. The cooperative cannot be this extensive, he argued, partly to convince himself. Our civilization has existed for millennia. We have encountered others. Admiral Chen's hologram walked through his command chair, a deliberate show of power that made his crest flatten. Did you ever wonder why you found so many habitable worlds conveniently devoid of intelligent life? Why resource-rich systems seem to be waiting for you? The implications hit Vexteri like a physical blow. You've been directing our expansion. Guiding. Nurturing. Like any good gardener, she gestured and new data appeared, statistical models of the Kraxon Empire's growth. Your civilization was given room to develop its own identity, its own culture. We simply adjusted the environment to prevent premature contact. Relok's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of intense cognitive processing. The stellar anomalies that diverted our early exploration ships, the mysterious radiation fields that made certain routes impossible, all part of the garden, Chen confirmed. Though I must say, your recent technological progress has been impressive. You're decades ahead of where we projected. Vexterry wasn't sure whether to feel proud or manipulated. And now, why reveal all this? Because you're ready. Or rather, you're at a crossroads. The hologram swept away the star charts, replacing them with images of Kraxan society, cities, ships, people. Your civilization stands on the brink of several breakthrough discoveries: quantum consciousness manipulation, dimensional folding, temporal mechanics. We're nowhere near those technologies, Zinra protested from her science station. Aren't you? Chen raised an eyebrow. Your latest theoretical physics papers suggest otherwise. Your scientists are asking the right questions. The only question is, will you handle the answers responsibly? A new alert flashed across the bridge screens. The pride of Kraxan's long-range sensors had detected multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Kraxan military vessels responding to their automated distress beacon. Vexterry felt a moment of hope. Reinforcements. A chance to regain some control of the situation. Admiral Chen didn't even turn to look at the tactical display. Yes. The Fourth Fleet, under Admiral Kexty. Don't worry. They're receiving the same presentation, though tailored to their own unique characteristics. You're simultaneously conducting this conversation with multiple ships. Relok's scientific curiosity was getting the better of him again. Actually, I'm simultaneously conducting diplomatic relations with 17 different species across the galaxy right now. One of the benefits of quantum consciousness, multitasking becomes quite manageable. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. This wasn't just first contact with a superior civilization. This was first contact with beings who had transcended the very limitations of physical existence. Your empire stands at a junction, Chen continued. The technologies you're about to discover could either elevate your species to new heights or tear reality itself apart. The cooperative exists to ensure the former while preventing the latter. Vexterry found his voice. And if we refuse, if we choose to develop on our own? For the first time, Admiral Chen's expression showed something other than diplomatic pleasantness, a flash of what might have been pity. High Commander, that's like a child refusing to accept that gravity exists. You've already detected the quantum consciousness field in your experiments. You're months away from your first successful dimensional fold. These forces exist whether you acknowledge them or not. The only question is whether you'll learn to use them safely. The bridge screen suddenly filled with new data, technical specifications, theoretical frameworks, mathematical proofs. The crew stared in wonder as the foundations of their scientific understanding were simultaneously validated and revolutionized. Consider this a preview, Chen said. A small demonstration of what cooperation could mean for your people. You have one standard rotation to discuss this with your fleet and your government. We'll await your response. The hologram began to fade, but Vexterry called out, "Wait, one last question. Why? Why invest so much in guiding species like us?" Admiral Chen's form solidified again, and for a moment, Vexterry saw something ancient in her eyes. Because long ago, we were where you are now, and we nearly destroyed ourselves figuring it out alone. We swore that no other species would have to face that journey without guidance. She smiled one last time. Welcome to a larger universe, High Commander. Try not to let your pride blind you to its wonders. The standard rotation passed like a fever dream. The pride of Kraxan's crew had spent it poring over the preview data, each revelation leading to deeper questions. Relok hadn't left his science station, his eyes fixed on equations that rewrote everything he thought he knew about physics. Even Vexterry found himself lost in the implications of what they'd been shown. When Admiral Chen's hologram reappeared, no one drew weapons. They were past that now. Your government has been surprisingly quiet, she opened, materializing in the center of the bridge. No emergency broadcasts, no fleet mobilization, not even a public announcement about first contact. Vexterry's crest rippled with confusion. We've been maintaining communications silence as we evaluate. No, Chen interrupted, her expression serious. You haven't communicated with your government at all. Because you can't. Every transmission you've attempted in the past rotation has failed, hasn't it? But your systems show they're working perfectly. Relok's fingers flew across his console. She's right. We're completely isolated. An interesting thing about quantum consciousness technology, Chen continued, walking through the bridge stations. It lets us maintain multiple reality states simultaneously. Your ship exists in 2 states right now, one where you appear to be on a routine patrol, and one where you're having this conversation. Zinara gasped from her science station. The preview data, the section on quantum superposition of macro-scale objects, was a practical demonstration, yes. Chen nodded. Your entire ship is currently experiencing what you would call a quantum segregation event. To the rest of the universe, nothing unusual is happening. This lets us have our discussion without outside interference. Vex Terry felt his grip on reality slipping again. Outside interference. From our own government. High Commander. Chen's voice took on a gentler tone. Did you really think we only started watching when you found our ship? That the garden metaphor was just about steering your exploration? New displays materialized around the bridge. Surveillance footage from across the Kraxan Empire. Government meetings, military installations, scientific laboratories, all playing out in real time. We've been monitoring your civilization since your first nuclear test, Chen explained. We know about the faction in your government pushing for aggressive expansion. We know about the secret weapons research facilities in the Outer Rim. We know about Project Ascendance. Vex Terry's crest went completely flat. Project Ascendance was the Empire's most closely guarded secret, a plan to achieve technological supremacy through any means necessary, regardless of ethical constraints. How, he whispered. Your quantum consciousness experiments were more successful than you realized, Chen said. You created a connection to the universal field. You just couldn't control it or understand what you were seeing. We could. We saw everything. Relok's mandibles were clicking so fast they blurred. The unexplained phenomena in the labs. The researchers reporting strange dreams, feeling watched. Side effects of uncontrolled quantum consciousness exposure, Chen confirmed. Your scientists were accidentally tapping into the same network we use for communication and observation, like children finding a quantum radio and pressing buttons at random. She gestured, and the surveillance feeds focused on one specific location, the Project Ascendant's main facility. Right now, in the universe outside this quantum bubble, your scientists are about to attempt the forced dimensional fold. Their calculations are wrong. Without intervention, they will create a cascade failure that will destroy 3 star systems. Stop them. Vex Terry found himself shouting, protocol forgotten in the face of potential catastrophe. Already done, Chen said calmly. In fact, it was prevented 6 months ago. Remember that unexplained equipment failure that delayed the project? You're welcome. The bridge crews stared at their stations, at each other, at the hologram of this being who had just casually admitted to rewriting their history. The weight of their civilization's vulnerability pressed down on them like a physical force. Why show us this? Relok asked finally. Why reveal the extent of your monitoring? Because the cooperative operates on informed consent, Chen replied. We could continue manipulating events from the shadows, preventing disasters, guiding your development. But true growth requires understanding. Your people need to know what they're agreeing to. She waved her hand, and all the surveillance feeds vanished except one. A live view of the Kraxan Imperial Palace. Your government is about to discover that their quantum consciousness experiments have succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. They're going to receive a data packet containing everything I've shown you, along with evidence of how close they came to catastrophe. And then they're going to have to make a choice. Vex Terry found his voice again. What choice? The same choice every species faces when they reach this point, Chen said. Continue blindly stumbling toward power they can't control, or accept guidance from those who've walked the path before. The same choice your crew needs to make right now. Our crew? Relok asked. Of course. Did you think this was just a demonstration? Your ship, your crew, were chosen specifically because you represent the best aspects of your civilization. Curiosity, adaptability, the potential to grow beyond rigid thinking. How you respond here will influence your government's decision. The hologram stepped back, her form beginning to fade. You have one more rotation. When I return, I'll need your answer. Not just about joining the cooperative, but about something more important. What's that? Vex Terry asked. Chen's smile held both warmth and challenge. Whether you're ready to help us guide the next civilization that reaches this point. After all, teachers need teachers too. The second rotation passed differently from the first. Instead of frantic analysis of advanced technology, the pride of Kraxen's crew found themselves in deep discussion about philosophy, ethics, and the nature of civilization itself. Vex Terry had ordered all rank insignias removed, allowing everyone to speak freely. When Admiral Chen's hologram appeared for the final time, she materialized in the midst of a passionate debate between Ralok and Zinra about the responsibilities of advanced civilizations. "I see you've been using your time wisely," she observed, causing the gathered crew to fall silent. Vex Terry stepped forward. His crest, once a rigid display of authority, now moved with a more contemplative rhythm. "We have questions." "Of course you do," Chen smiled. "That's why you were chosen." "The cooperative," Vex Terry began, "you said it exists to guide species past their adolescent phase. But we've seen the surveillance, the manipulation, the quantum segregation. How is this different from conquest?" "An excellent first question," Chen replied. "Tell me, what conclusion did your crew reach in their discussions?" Relok spoke up from his station. "We've been studying the preview data, particularly the sections on quantum consciousness development. The mathematical models suggest that as species advance technologically, they inevitably discover forces that could destroy them. Like children finding explosives," Zinra added. "The cooperative isn't conquering, it's child-proofing the universe." Chen's hologram walked among them, her expression thoughtful. "Close, but not quite complete. We're not just preventing destruction. We're preserving something more precious: diversity." She gestured, and the bridge filled with new holograms. Thousands of alien species, each distinctly different. Every civilization that reaches the technological threshold faces the same temptation: to remake the universe in their image, to enforce their version of order. Without guidance, this leads to one of two outcomes: self-destruction or the destruction of others' uniqueness. The image is shifted, showing various alien cultures, arts, philosophies, and scientific approaches. The cooperative exists to ensure that each species can advance while maintaining their unique perspective on existence. Your empire's approach to crystalline technology, for instance, we've never seen anything quite like it. It would be a tragedy if that were lost. Vex Terry's crest rippled with sudden understanding. "That's why you let us develop in isolation. Why you created the garden." "Precisely," Chen nodded. "And why we're having this conversation now. Your empire stands at the cusp of discoveries that could reshape reality itself. How you use that power will affect not just your species, but all species. And if we join the cooperative," Relok asked, "we would eventually guide others as well." "That's the cycle," Chen confirmed. "Each species brings their unique perspective to the task. The Zinthri's diplomatic insights, the Mavorians' understanding of strategic balance, even their initial aggression taught us valuable lessons about handling pride." She turned to face Vex Terry directly. "Your empire's greatest strength isn't your technology or your military might. It's your ability to adapt, to synthesize new approaches from existing principles. We've watched how you've built your civilization by incorporating elements from ancient ruins, learning from the past while forging your own path." "The ruins," Zinra gasped. "They were tests too, weren't they? Carefully placed pieces of advanced technology to see how we'd handle them." "Some were," Chen admitted. "Others were genuine remnants of species who didn't accept guidance. Their artifacts remain as lessons in humility. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Finally, Vexteri spoke again, his voice carrying the weight of revelation. I understand now. This isn't just about preventing destruction or sharing technology. It's about ensuring that each new perspective, each unique way of seeing the universe, survives to contribute to the greater whole. Now you're beginning to truly understand. Chen smiled. So High Commander Vextari, Ralak, Zinra, honored crew of the Pride of Kraxon, what is your answer? Are you ready to join a project billions of years in the making, to help ensure that the great tapestry of cosmic civilization continues to grow richer rather than simpler? Vexteri looked at his crew, seeing in their eyes the same certainty he felt in his hearts. His crest rose not in dominance now, but in aspiration. We are prepared to recommend to our government that the Kraxon Empire join the Galactic Cooperative with one condition. Oh, Chen raised an eyebrow. We want to understand everything. Not just the technology, but the responsibility. We want to learn how to be proper gardeners. Admiral Chen's hologram smiled, and for a moment, they caught a glimpse of her true form, a being of pure quantum consciousness, existing simultaneously across multiple dimensions. That, she said, her voice resonating with approval, is exactly the answer we hoped for. Welcome, she continued, as the quantum segregation began to fade and reality reasserted itself, to your species' next great adventure. The garden awaits its new caretakers. As the Pride of Kraxon prepared to return to normal spacetime, Vexteri realized that their mission of discovery had succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. They had sought to find primitive species to enlighten, only to discover that they themselves had been part of a greater plan for enlightenment all along. The universe, it seemed, had a sense of irony after all.